Hey everybody, I'm Den Haring. Welcome back to my channel, Fish Den 365, and welcome back to Topwater Tuesday. That's right, it's Tuesday, it's Topwater Tuesday. We try to make Tuesday the best day of the week because we're talking topwaters, and what could be better than that? So for this Topwater Tuesday, we got a special one for you. We're going to be talking about the best walking baits. Let's go. Okay, so this is about some of the best walking baits that I've come across. I'm going to give you a ranking. I have 13 different baits that I'm going to rank here and see if you agree with me from your experience. It'll be interesting. These are truly walking baits. So some of these other lures that walk but also spit and pop, like the Lucky Craft Gunfish here, won't be included in this because it's more than just a walking bait. It also spits and pops. The same thing for the Chuggin' Spook, for example. So those are not included in these in this ranking. It's just going to be purely baits that walk. And we're going to start. I had to make my list here because in my own head, I made some changes. My last three, the top three, either one of them could be number one. We'll get into that. But the first one, number 13, is the Cotton Cordell Boy Howdy. This is the Boy Howdy with the weight on the back. It tends to sit pretty vertical like this. It walks nicely. It's got 3 hooks on it. And it's a bait that's been around a long time now, but it still catches fish. And there's times where this thing catches them better than a lot of the other baits. So that's why that one's number 13 on the list. Number 12 is the Phillips Ugly Albert. Another bait that's been around for a long time. It's weighted in the back. Nice paint jobs, wooden bait, no rattles. So the Ugly Albert is number 12. Coming in at number 11 is the most unusual bait in the lineup this time. It's the Bill Lewis Stutterstep. Very interesting lure here. And this lure I only started using a year ago or so, but one of the things that's really unique about this bait is you can walk it in place where it hardly moves forward at all. You can just make this thing turn 90 degrees back and forth and from center and not hardly cover any water at all. So you can kind of keep it right over the fish's head. It's a very unique bait. It's a very loud bait in the water. It makes quite a bit of noise. And it's a big fish bait in that it tends to concentrate, it tends to attract larger fish, which is why I have it here as number 11 in my walking baits. And it's out of all the baits here, it's probably the easiest to walk with just the slightest or minus, just the slightest twitches of the rod will get this thing walking. But you can use your rod and make adjustments to make this thing go very subtle, stay in place, or to move it forward as well. You just have to practice, experiment with it. But a very interesting bait, the Stutterstep. Number 10 is another very interesting bait. This is a bait that I get from Jan's. It's just a wooden walking bait. It's meant to be a topwater wooden walking bait. I didn't even paint this one. I just put some epoxy coating on it and some red gills and eyes. This is, again, another silent bait. No rattles at all. Completely made of wood. So it's pretty lively in the water. And when I want something subtle, but that has a decent size to it, this is the one I reach for. I like this bait quite a bit. Number 9 is the Bomber BaDonk. This is an interesting bait in that I like the eyes. It has nice big eyes on it. And, you know, I was looking at this bait. This one's one I modified. I actually took the rattles out of this one. There's just one little rattle left in there. But the original BaDonk had a big ball in it and then another single ball in the back. A ball in the mid portion here, and maybe you can see that, and then a little one in the front. So it has that good noise. But I came across another one I have that doesn't have the big ball at all. It just got a bunch of little ones in there. So I don't know which is older, which is newer, but there's been some changes apparently with the BaDonk, and I do think it makes a difference, the sound that these baits are making. But like I said, this is a good bait. It's got a real nice, realistic look to it. It's easy to walk the dog with, and it does catch fish. And again, those eyes are a big plus. Coming in at number 8 is the Bagley finger mullet. This is a smaller bait, again a quieter one because it's made of wood, no rattles, but it tends to be a really good bait for smallmouth bass. I really like it for smallmouths. It catches largemouths too. This one walks fairly easily, and you can also make it pop out of the water. It's like it's jumping a little bit as it's walking, which it's a lively bait because of that wood factor again. So the Bagley finger mullet is a really good bait to use when the topwater bite is going strong. Number 7 is a Megabass bait, the Dox X Jr. I just started playing with this last year, and boy, I really like this bait. It has a real nice walk the dog profile, a tight walk the dog profile. It doesn't move this way so much. It doesn't glide a lot. It just has that tight left right, and sometimes that's the deal for the fish, depending on how they want the bait to be chasing. And this is one that you can keep in a little area and keep it working without moving it across too much water. The smaller profile is real nice. You can throw this, you can get away with throwing this on a light topwater rod, but you could also throw it on the BFS stuff, which I really enjoy. Number 6 is a great one here. This is the Cultiva Zip Ziggy. A great eye on that bait, and it's just a little bit bigger than the Dox X, and it's different in that this one does move a lot of water as you go. This one zips and zigs, but it does it on a very wide plane as it's going through the water. And there are times when this thing is a killer because of that type of action. That's why this one's ranked at number 6. I really like the Zip and Ziggy. Well, we're getting down to the top 5 here. And number 5 is the Heddon Zara Spook. This has to be in your collection for walking the dog. And along with it is the Spook Jr. Now the Zara Spook, I modify the hooks because I don't like the way the hooks come on there. The fish could wedge off, so I put my own little hook holders in there. I add split rings and I put the hooks on. And I will put a link to the video for how I do that. It makes the Spook a lot better. It's why I like the Junior Spook so much. It already comes that way. I don't have to make any modifications to the Junior Spook. And some of the Junior Spooks have a one knocker in them. The Zara Spook is silent except for any noise that your split rings might make. So, but they're both great baits. The Zara Spook and the Spook Junior, number 5 on my list. Well, number 4 is a bait that most people probably never use, but it's one of my favorites. It's the Mega Bait, not Mega Bass, Mega Bait Chihuahua. And this thing just catches fish. It's just an amazing topwater lure. It has a subtler, more of a tinny sound to it. It's very subtle. Anytime I feel like that I'm overpowering the fish with these bigger baits and I need a little bit of a subtler walking bait, I choose this one first. I go to the Mega Bait Chihuahua, and it very rarely lets me down. It catches a lot of fish, both on lakes and in the rivers that I fish. All right, so that was the Chihuahua. Now we're down to the top 3. And when I was thinking about how to rank these baits, I actually, in my mind, changed my mind 3 times and had all 3 of them as number 1. So these next 3, any one of them can be my number 1 at any given time. But the way I'm thinking about it right now, number 3 is the Strike King Sexy Dog. This thing just catches fish like you wouldn't believe. I particularly like this size. It comes in a larger size as well. But this thing is a killer. It just catches fish. It's got a really nice action to it. It has a good sound. And I've caught a lot of fish, stripers and bass, both on this bait. It's one of my favorites. Number 2 is a bait very similar to the Sexy Dog and how it sounds and works. And it's the Reaction Innovations Vixen. Comes in 2 different sizes here, as you can see. I have the smaller one in front. Now, the smaller one comes with 3 hooks, but I take the middle hook off because I don't feel there's a need for it due to the size of the bait. The larger one, I'll leave all 3 hooks on. This bait catches fish. A lot of people would agree that this is one of the best topwater baits ever made as far as walking baits. One of the things that's unique about this that might make it sound different or act different is that where you put the split rings, the the holders here, instead of being parallel to the bait, they're perpendicular. I'll show you what I mean by that. So if you look at this Sammy, for example, see how it's turned that way, but on the Vixen it's turned the other way. That may be one of the reasons why the Vixen is as good as it is. It's just a little bit different, makes a little different sound. The action is a little different, but it is a dynamite bait. One of the things that I really like to do with the Vixen is fish it extremely fast, just as fast as I can get that thing to walk. And sometimes that will crush them. But the nice thing about the Vixen is you can walk it at any speed and it works just fine all throughout that those different cadences. All right, so that leaves my #1 topwater lure, and you probably guessed it by now. It is, and I went back and forth between the Sexy Dog and the Vixen with this, but it's the Lucky Craft Sammy. This is a Sammy 100. This is a Sammy 65. When this came out, I started throwing this primarily instead of a Zara Spook. It's been many years that this bait's been out. I've caught so many fish on this little 65. It catches big fish, especially smallmouths. They love it. And then the Sammy 100, it comes in other sizes too, the 85 and 120, I believe. This Sammy 100 is really a killer as well. It just walks a dog so easily, and there's just no weaknesses to these baits. They sound good in the water, they work well. One thing I will say about the Sammy 100s is that some seem to catch fish more or better than others. I'm not sure why that is. I have a lot of 100s. I have dozens of them. And this is one of the ones that is special in that it just catches fish more than some of the others. I have 2 or 3 that just, for whatever reason, and I don't think it's the color, I think it's the action and or the sound or both. There's something about some of these Sammys that just, when you find one that catches fish the way these do, you don't ever want to lose it, and you want to hang on to it because they really do catch fish. The 65s, it seems to me that they're more consistent. They all seem to catch fish. Being with that smaller profile, you're much more likely to get more hits on it, I would suppose, as well. So that's the walking baits. Let me know in the comments if you have an interest in me going over some of these other baits, like these hybrids, because there's a bunch of nice hybrids out there that both walk, spit, and pop. We can talk about that in a future video. I'm also thinking about doing a soft plastic top 10 or whatever on the soft plastics topwater. That would include frogs and other soft plastic lures like toads and that kind of thing. So let me know in the comments if you'd have any interest in that. And then lastly, I'd really like to know, what did I miss here? I don't fish every topwater bait that there's ever been, and there's one that I can think of that I have on my list to fish, but haven't fished it yet, and it's the River to Sea Rover. So if you have experience with that Rover, let me know how you would rank that with these. I understand for some people it's every bit as good as the Vixen, and so that's a bait that I'll have to get looking at next year and let you know what I think of it when I get my hands on it. I think 6 cents makes a walking bait that may be pretty good too. So let me know what your top 5 is, or your top 10, or what you think of my ranking, and if I've got it wrong or if you think I have it right, love to hear it in the comments. That's it for this Topwater Tuesday. Keep it tuned here. One of the next videos I'll be doing is a top 5 or top 10 creature bait video, which I think you'll be interested in. Some of those baits may surprise you as well, but they're good ones, I can tell you that. All right, until next time, be safe out there, and as always, may God bless your fishing endeavors.